Hello, welcome to Coach's Corner. My name is Brian Fuller. I'm the Associate Athletic Director of McDowell High School. Joined today with Brennan Fedorko, Senior member of our indoor and outdoor boys track team, and Kelsey Herbst, Senior member of our girls swim team. Before we get to our interviews today, some news out of the athletic office. I want to send out some congratulations to some of our athletes, to our divers. Kristen Overholt was a District 10 champion this past weekend in girls diving. Mackenzie Bello took second, and Morgan Pruckner took third. It was a great showing by their female divers. On the boys' side, Bobby Freeling was a District 10 champ. I believe he was a repeat champ. And he was followed up by Kevin Hoderney, Gage Schwab, and Nick Roberts. So we took the top 7 places in boys and girls diving. That's a tremendous feat for our divers. For the wrestling, we just had a District 10 championship this past weekend for individuals. We had one individual champ, Steve Spearman, who was a freshman. He has had an outstanding season this year. He was the District 10 champion in his weight class. Dylan Match took third. Ryan Kensky took fourth. And all 3 of those will for sure qualify for regionals coming up. And then we have Mike Vallant, who took 5th and is an alternate. And I believe the 4th place finisher in his weight class is injured, so there's a chance that Mike may also be moving on to regionals, which will be held in Altoona coming up. Our boys basketball team won their semifinal game against George Jr. last week, so now they will compete against Cathedral Prep. And there was actually a time change on this game. That game still will be Friday, February 27th, but it will now be held at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock at Gannon University, and will be a single game. There will be no game prior to it. Originally, they were going to have the girls' game before it, but now it is a boys-only game. Tickets are on sale as we speak, actually, in the McDowell Athletic Office, and will be all week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our girls bowling, they are moving on to Western Regionals, which will be this coming Friday and Saturday in Pittsburgh. Depending on how they do there, they may qualify for the states from that tournament as well. And just a reminder to our spring sport athletes. Spring sports, hard to believe it with the snow on the ground, but spring sports does officially start March 2nd, which is Monday. They must have a physical form turned in. And again, if you have played a previous sport already, then all you need to turn in is Section 5 of the physical packet. But again, those forms must be turned in before we get to the first day of tryouts, or you will not be able to try out. Okay, now let's get to our interviews here. First with Brennan. Brennan, maybe give some background. What events do you compete in track?
I compete in quite a few. I actually compete in the Open 400, the 4x4, the Open 800, and the 4x8 as of last year. And this year I was thrown in the 4x2 for indoor because one of our guys wasn't feeling too great at the beginning, so they threw me in as an alternate. And I did pretty well in that, so they kept me on that team, so that's pretty good. And for outdoor, I don't know if I'm going to be running the 4x1. Coach was talking to me a bit about it, and he's thinking maybe I can, but it's not likely. But I give him a lot of options with what I can do on the track team and how I help out. So.
Okay, when you say Open 400, that's just the individual 400 event?
Yeah, the 400-meter dash is what it's originally called, but we call it the Open 400, and that's 1 lap around the track at McDowell, if some of you don't know, or a quarter mile. I'm the #1 guy for that we have this year, and so far I'm doing pretty good for it. So.
Okay, 400-meter dash, I think, is a relative term based on your age. It may be a dash for you. For me, it's a lifetime event to get around the track 1 time. You talked about indoor and outdoor a little bit. Do you consider the indoor track and outdoor track 2 separate seasons, or do you guys look at them as one? I mean, how does the indoor prepare you for outdoor?
We do see them as separate because we use the indoor more to get ready for outdoor. It's not as intense on the athletes or the coaches. We use it to get ready for outdoor and see where we are as a team and who we are individually, what we can do, and what our different athletes in different events can do. So we use indoor and the indoor meets to get ready for outdoor, so that we know where we can base our team at, who can run what, who can do what for the team, who has the best abilities in certain events. So we do see them as different seasons, but we use them together, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We use indoor for outdoor, but outdoor is our main concern.
If you had your choice of state championship, which one would you rather win, indoor or outdoor?
Oh, outdoor, definitely, because outdoor is just amazing. The atmosphere with the fans is phenomenal. I know not a lot of people at McDowell go to the track meets, but when it comes down to states, there are fans that are diehard down there, and it's just amazing, the atmosphere. And we usually take a lot of kids. It's a lot of fun. We stay down there for about 2 or 3 days, I believe, down in Shippensburg. And if any of you have a chance, try to get to a track meet. It can get pretty intense when we have them.
They're a lot of fun. Hopefully this spring I'll be able to get out to some and the weather's not always the best for them, but you know, the excitement is there, especially when they start running the sprints and all those kind where they're going head-to-head down the track. What are the strengths of this year's boy team? Let's talk outdoor now. Looking at that, you know, is it going to be the depth? Is it the individual events? Is it, you know, are we better in the track events, or the field events, or what are we thinking?
Well, indoor we took five different jumpers, which is usually unheard of. Usually we have a lot of sprinters that go not so much distance indoor, but outdoor they start to step up. But this year indoor we took a lot of jumpers, but it's really hard to say because we don't have as much depth as last year with Johnny Dugan and Robert Ward and Justin Hines and guys like that. We definitely don't have the guys that we had 2 years ago, like Aaron Fitzpatrick and them, but we have a lot of guys that'll be able to step up and do what they do, like Peter Overar, Alex Schmood, DJ Barr, who's a junior, and Dakota Walker, who's a sophomore. He's doing real good this year. So we have a lot of guys that'll be able to do what they do, the best that they can do, but we don't have as much depth as we've had the past few years. So we're going to have a lot of guys step up in several different areas, like me, where I run 4 different events, usually not at the same meets, but they like me because I can be thrown around. I can go into different events and do what I do the best I can, which is all they ever really ask. But we don't have a lot of depth, but we do have the guys that will stand out and hopefully lead this team to do as good as we've done in the past. So.
We talked about the weather a little bit up here. Are we at a disadvantage compared to some southern schools in Pennsylvania when it comes to preparation? I mean, can you really prepare indoors for an outdoor event? I see you guys running down the hallways and running the steps and, you know, jumping, you know, 2-3 hurdles instead of the whole race worth of hurdles. But I mean, can you really prepare indoors for the outdoor meets?
Usually what happens with outdoor is no matter what your indoor time, it will usually be better because the atmosphere is better. The tracks are 400-meter dash tracks instead of 200-meter tracks, which means the turns aren't as sharp, so it's a lot easier to run. Now, the weather does have an effect because if we can't get outside to practice on the track, we aren't going to get the feel of how it is to run on a 400-meter track. So it does have an effect, and we also have colder weather because of the lake and everything. So the colder weather has an effect on your lungs. It makes your lungs, when you breathe it in, it makes them contract, because that's what things do when they get cold. They contract, and when they heat up, they expand. So the fact that we can't get outside and run on a 400-meter track is at a disadvantage because we don't get the feel for it. When we do run on the track, it's not our best because we can't breathe as well. But when we run indoors, it's good because it's a lot harder to run indoors than it is outdoors because the air's stuffier, it's not as fresh, and the turns are sharper. So we at least get the aspect that we're breathing harder, we're working harder overall, and that does help a bit, but we still don't get the feel for that 400 track, and we don't get the same effects that we could on the field if we use those for plyometrics or things like that. And also, if you run indoors a lot, since the ground is usually not as soft as a track or a field, you tend to develop injuries a lot easier, like in your knees or your shins, shin splints mainly, which is a lot of us get those during the indoor season, and usually when outdoor comes around they go away because we're running on softer surfaces. So we are at a bit of a disadvantage, but we do have advantages for running indoor that I've previously stated, so it works out.
Okay, you talked about your versatility and what you offer the team this year. What goals have you set? Do you have a favorite event? You know, what personal goals have you set for yourself for the upcoming season?
I do have a favorite event. It's a 400-meter dash. I just can't get enough of it. Most people hate it because it's a full quarter-mile sprint, and nobody loves it, but I love that to death, and that is my favorite event. But they really want to throw me in the 800 because they figure I could do well in that, and whatever I can do for the team is great. I'll do what I can to help, but my personal goals would be, one, to qualify the 4x400 meter relay, which didn't make it to states, unfortunately, indoors, for outdoors, and that means me being the senior 400 meter dash runner, I would have to inspire and motivate the other athletes that run the event to do their best and push hard to get better at what they do. And a lot of us have a lot of talent. It's just not a lot of us have the hard-working motivation that I would say I do, because I love to work hard for things like this. So that's one goal. Another goal would be to qualify for the state outdoor championship meet, which I'm pretty sure I can do. I have the confidence in myself to do that. Also to place at the state meet, preferably win, but that's going to take a lot of work, but hopefully I can do what I can do. And then also to beat Aaron Fitzpatrick's record of 48.92 in the 400-meter dash, which not a lot of people believe in me, but I believe in me, and I think that's all that counts, is what you believe in yourself.
That's it. Okay, last question. We talked about placing the state meet. In your opinion, do we have anybody that will get a state championship this year? Or is maybe a favorite to have should have a good shot? Yeah,
there are people that have a good shot. There's no one really standing out now that will definitely, for say, win like Dan Quee did last year in the shot put. But we do have a lot of people with a lot of potential that can do a lot of damage at that meet. So right now it's too hard to say, but hopefully some people will start standing out and start working hard and get motivated to do their best and work their hardest for what they can do for the team, and hopefully we will come out with some state championships, athletes, and hopefully a state championship overall.
Okay, great, thanks. Best of luck to you the upcoming season, and the girls team as well. Coach Sanford is doing a great job with the program, and I'm sure we're looking for great things to come there. Some upcoming boys events. It's a big week for us here at McDowell. We have a lot of great teams moving on this week. Our boys basketball game, like we said, there is a time change on that. They will play Cathedral Prep on Friday, February 27th, and that game will now be at 7 o'clock at Gannon University instead of the originally scheduled 8 o'clock. Again, tickets are on sale. Stop into the athletic office. Our swimmers, we'll get talking to Kelsey here in a minute, but our boys swimmers, they will compete along with the girls this weekend, Friday, Saturday. We'll be at Barron. And they start Friday night, usually right around 6 o'clock there. If you're able to get out there, get out. That's always an exciting time. Our hockey team, they will go to Pine Richland on the 23rd, and then 25th, on Wednesday the 25th is actually a special event. That will be senior night for our hockey team. I believe they have 8 seniors on the team. So come on out to the Mercyhurst Ice Center, and they will be taking on Canada Mac there. And our wrestlers, we talked about that earlier. We will have 3 for sure, possibly 4 wrestlers moving on to regionals. And that will be at Altoona this coming weekend, the 27th and 28th, and hopefully those guys from there, they can qualify and move on to the States. And then just an update, a little note here for the track team. Their outdoor practice will start March 2nd, first day of spring sports. They're taking this week off, and there's no activity period meeting, so they're not able to get to all the athletes, but they will start at 2:50 right after school, so get down to the MIHS gym as soon as you can and get ready for your track practice. Okay, let's change gears a little bit here, move on to girls swimming. We have Kelsey Herbst here with us. We talked about the boys swimming, the D10's coming up here soon. Get a little background, what events do you swim in?
I swim the individual 500 free, 200 free, and then the 2 free relays, which is the 200 free relay and the 400 free relay. And for those who don't know about relays, there's 4 people in every relay. So for the 200 free relay, I swim a 50, and then for my 400 free relay, I swim 100 free.
Okay, and a 50, how long is the pool? Is that just an up and a back? Is that a 50?
Yep, 25-yard pool.
For the people that don't get out to the meets much, so 50 yards, that's up and back, so you're going up and back, and then another person jumps in and takes over from there. You're also a water polo player. You guys had a nice season this fall and made it to the state tournament there. Do you use water polo to prepare for swimming? Do you use swimming to prepare for polo? I mean, what is your main sport, and how does water polo prepare you for swimming?
Well, I would say swimming is my main sport just because I've been around it longer, because I've been starting swimming since I've been 5. But water polo, I've swam, and I haven't played water polo since I was probably 8th or 7th grade I started. So, of course, water polo comes first in the fall. So I would say that it definitely helps me for swimming in the winter. I don't know if I would have that same connection if swimming was first with water polo. For water polo, there's a lot of involvement with swimming, so it definitely helps a little bit. But then there's so many more things to water polo that you need, like leg strength and everything, that swimming doesn't always help. So, but swimming is like 2 hours long of practice, but we do spend about an hour of water polo practice swimming. So it definitely helps you get into the mode of swimming at the beginning of the school year. So I would definitely say that it does help, and they both kind of tie in together. So.
Now, when did you start swimming? What age were you at? I mean, what got you interested in swimming? Or was it just, hey, I like to jump around in the pool and have fun? Or is it you wanted to compete at a young age? Or
yeah, my mom got me involved in swimming. She swam for McDowell a little bit ago.
Nice
but
answer.
I started competitively swimming for my club team during the summer, Kakwa. And so I was about 5 when I started swimming, like 25 yards sprint. So that got me involved, and I joined MIST, which is also run by Dave Schultz. So I did that. That's for like training, and then I started doing open meets, and then it just kind of fell into high school swimming, and that's when I got a lot more competitive and everything.
Maybe describe for the viewing audience what your guys, during mid-season, what your typical practice is like. I don't think people can really appreciate the amount of work you guys do put in as swimmers. I mean, you have the stories with Michael Phelps and the workouts he has. I mean, that's a whole different level. But for a high school swimmer for McDowell, what's a typical practice like? Well,
I would say we have a really tough practice schedule. 5 days a week after school, we have practice until about 5 o'clock, which doesn't normally include lifting. So for those who really care and lift, they normally are here until 5:30 or so. And then when we really get into the core of the season for swimming, we have morning practices Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for an hour at 6 before school. And then Saturday we have practice for about 3 hours in the morning. And then if we get involved into winter breaks and Thanksgiving break and everything, that's really hard, where we have a lot of hard practices.
So how many yards a week do you think you're swimming?
Oh boy, I can't even count them up. It depends, because when we have meets on like Mondays or Thursdays, that takes away from our yardage, which is unfortunate. So it varies depending on week to week, I would say. So.
Okay, we talked about you have districts coming up and then hopefully states after that. Yeah. Maybe explain the difference in your training. What do you guys do to train different for a big meet like districts versus just your regular season meets, or your what your regular season workouts are like?
Yeah. Well, for those who are going to taper and shave for districts, obviously, they would cut back on yards, especially if you're really getting close to your performance day. We'll do, for example, 4 100s on 120. But for a taper, it would be increase of time and maybe less intervals to do. So maybe we would do 2 100s on 130. So therefore you have more rest and more time to recover. So you have more energy going into practice during taper for a big meet like districts and states. So you have more energy when it comes down to a big meet like districts.
Okay, we talked about, excuse me, Michael Phelps a little bit. First, let's talk about the good side. I mean, can you fathom what he was able to accomplish at the Olympics?
It was amazing.
What, he won 7, 8 gold medals?
Yeah.
I mean, for one to go out and swim that many events in one Olympics, granted it was over a few days, but then to go out and do it at that level and to win, I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
He's a big idol of mine. I think it's a lot of work and dedication, and obviously he has to be a natural swimmer to begin, but obviously there's a lot more behind the scenes, and he doesn't stop swimming. It's year-round and everything, and he has a lot of hard work and trainers and so many people helping him out that he's like thankful for, and he just is a really good swimmer.
I mean, obviously he's got access to things that high school swimmers don't have, like you said, the trainers and the people preparing his food and technology. How much does technology play in swimming? There's always a debate on the suits and all that kind of stuff. Does it really make a difference?
I don't know. These new suits that are out, laser suits by Speedo, really seem to be working, because I see some results from some people, and they look really good, and so you'll definitely see a lot at states. I have a feeling.
Do they make the suits for male and female?
Yeah, there's different styles. Some just go to the knee and some go all the way down, but for male and female. And I know Nike and a couple other brands have different versions of the suit, but the ones that they actually wore for the Olympics was a Speedo laser suit. So.
Any of our kids have them? You have one?
I'm hoping to get one, yeah, if it comes in on time.
Okay, then we talked about the good side of Michael Phelps. Now, obviously he's in the news for a poor decision. I mean, good people make bad decisions every now and then. What are your thoughts on maybe the treatment he's getting, or he's probably going to serve some sort of suspension, a few months from USA Swimming. What are your thoughts on there? Maybe did he let the kids down, or is it just truly that? He just made a bad decision and a mistake, and we need to move on.
I feel like everyone makes mistakes. Personally, I don't look at him any different, seeing as he's young 20s and people make mistakes. I don't know for younger kids if they really understand what's going on. Of course, I know he's lost a lot of his sponsorships and everything, and it's probably really hard for him because when you make a mistake like that, you can't change it. It's going to be really hard for him, I think, to get past this, but I think eventually people will eventually forget about it, and he can use all his anger and frustration towards his swimming and everything, so we'll see.
Fortunately, it's probably going to take another big event for the press to forget about him so that they can move on.
Yeah.
But like you said, the pool is a safe haven. I'm sure he's just itching to get back in the pool so he can,
Yeah.
you know, there's not going to be any reporter swimming up and down the pool next to him asking him questions, so that's a way for him to get away from it.
Yeah.
Districts and states, what goals do you have for yourself? Does the team have? Does the team plan on winning districts and moving on? Or, you know, what personal goals do you have set?
Well, districts, we have won 13 straight years for the girls, so we're hoping to pull off another win on Friday and Saturday. We're trying to get a lot of people for team goals, get a lot of people to be able to go to states this year so we can do really well in our ranking for states and get some personal good times. For my goals for districts, I hope to get first in all 4 events that I listed. And for my 500, especially when I move on to states, I'm hoping to get in the top 3. So that's my goal, personal best in all my times.
Okay, you talked about swimmers moving on to states. Maybe let the viewing audience know, how do you qualify for states? Okay, we have a district meet this week. How can our kids move on?
To qualify for states, you have to, it's different for AA than AAA. So we're in AAA, so the top 1 person, whoever wins that event, or relay, which would be 4 people, would move on to states. But if you're in AA, the top 2 people get to move on. Now, once they have those automatics from all the districts, they have a list set up, and then they also have a list of top times of other swimmers that maybe didn't get first at districts, but have also amazing times. So they take the next 16 for an individual event, and for relays, they only take the next top 8 in the state. So it's kind of hard. You really have to have a fast time, because there's some districts that are even faster than ours. To really get qualified for states and everything. So that's how it goes for girls and boys. So.
Okay, good. Last question then. You talk about doing well at the state meet.
Yeah.
Do you have a college on the hook yet? Have you decided what you want to do next year? Is it kind of depending on maybe how you perform? Are you looking to swim next year?
Yeah, I am attending Pittsburgh next year, University of Pittsburgh, and I plan to swim. So that'll be really interesting. Undecided major, but we'll be swimming next year, so it'll be a lot of work. So.
All right, great. Well, congratulations on a great year. I'm looking forward to the district meet this weekend and moving on to states. Hopefully I'll be able to attend a state meet this year maybe and come down and show you guys some support and watch you guys swim.
Thank you.
Some upcoming girl events. Let's talk about those coming up this week. It's another big week. Our girls basketball team will actually compete in the semifinals against Central Tech, and that will be at 6:30 on Monday. And then if they win that, they will play, this is a game change, so if anyone can pay attention to the change here, instead of Friday, they're going to move that game to Thursday. So the girls District 10 finals will be Thursday, the 26th, and we will play the winner of Easton Strong Vincent, and that game will be at Gannon's Hammer Mill Center at 7 o'clock as well. We talked about the girls swimming. That's coming up this weekend at Barron, 27-28, District 10 Championships. So they will swim there this weekend. And then our girls bowlers, even though they took second in the Metro this year, they had a great season, but they did qualify for Western Regionals. They will moving down to Pittsburgh this weekend to compete in that. And then depending on how they do there, they will move on to the state meet the following weekend. So again, just some reminders out of the athletic office. Springsport athletes, remember to get your physical forms into the athletic office, or you'll unfortunately not be able to participate in tryouts until that form is in. If you've already competed in a sport this series, all you need to do is get Section 5 completed. That's just simply a little survey. Your parents sign it, turn it in, and you're all set to go there. Okay, and again, just a reminder that the Coach's Corner Show can be viewed online by going to the district website. And so if you guys have anybody that's spread out throughout the world, I guess, you can let them know that they can go to that address right there on your screen, www.mtsd.org. /MTSD-TV. Look for the Coach's Corner link, and these shows are on there, so they can view them that way. Anybody have any questions on getting tickets, upcoming events, anything like that, please feel free to call the athletic office at 835-5428. Be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Appreciate you watching today's show. Looking forward to the next one. See you out at our courts and our fields, and as always, go Trojans.